Hello, and welcome to another episode of Shampoo and Booze. This is episode number 24 at shampooandbooze.com. This is a podcast about us making a living on Airbnb.
That's right. Just real quick, because this is still a relatively new podcast. So we have a rental that is up and going, has been rented. It's year number 2.
Yes.
And we bought another one, and we're fixing that up to rent it out. Probably take the rest of the year or summertime or...
And
who knows?
Who knows how long? It could take... No. So each week we describe the trials and tribulations of our process of running a rental and redoing a house for another rental.
And, and that's what we hope to hear from other people trying to do this, too. I mean, I think when we hear podcasts, a lot of times it's about kind of new sites you can use and tools.
And apps and stuff like that.
And I think that stuff is cool, but I think we're really interested in hearing from people like us who are, if you're really investing in places.
Yeah.
And you're like, how do I make this work?
Right.
And what's the kind of day-to-day stuff that happens? Because that's what we're trying to do, is trying to do things better and smarter and make good money.
Right, exactly. Or maybe it's a room in your house, and how do you deal with that? That's like a totally new experience.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of like I've always said, Airbnb, it's interesting. It's kind of bringing back not something that happened in our generation,
yes,
but in our grandparents' generation,
right,
where people had rooms in their house that they would rent out, and there would even be like boarding houses.
Yep.
And
that was normal. You said when your dad would do road trips with his family
as a kid,
in the 50s and 60s, they would like knock on someone's door, and there'd be a little sign like room for rent.
So, my dad was born in 47, so he says in the 50s, like when he would be like 10.
Yeah.
So it'd be like 50. Yeah. So, they would be driving like around the East Coast.
Right.
And this is before the interstate highways.
Yeah, just a little.
Often. So you're driving down these kind of roads, and he said that was when there still weren't really a lot of motels.
Right.
Motels hadn't really popped up, and you just find out who in town would rent, and you'd rent a room
little
in their house.
room.
So it seems like it's coming back.
Right. It's a really similar thing.
And it's smart.
Yeah, it's really smart.
Or, I think about it's movies where it'd be like a woman, like a widow with her kids, and she would have a gigantic house, like a small hotel,
right?
But it's basically just a big house,
and
it would be a rooming house, and there'd be like salesmen,
a boarding house,
and she would
cook them dinner,
cook like a roast part, and it's like $5 a week, and guys are like smoking down on this, watching TV.
Well, we just watched a show that was based in the 1960s, and that's exactly what it was. He had this boarding house, and they were really strict about when he had to be in the house. It's just what?
Yep.
But I think it's because when you said, your dad said, motels hadn't really popped up, motels obviously and hotels started out as independent, but then it got really, the travel industry with the interstate highways, with people owning cars, everyone in a whole family owns a car, it became a whole thing, commercialization of this travel, so, but that's why I think Airbnb is interesting, because it goes back to the old time.
People our age were seeking out more real experiences.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like we're like
an advertisement.
An advertisement for
not.
Airbnb, but even just in general, when we try and go on vacation or go out, we don't really do vacations. But when we travel, we're just not the kind of people that immediately, okay, let's go to the Hilton. And,
right. I mean, and the other part about it too is what's more interesting to us is, staying in parts of town, cities, towns, wherever, where people live, because that's where the good restaurants are and the places to hang out and places to walk around. So that's always been what we like to do.
So speaking of Airbnb, we just got the email that I'm sure a lot of people did where, Instant Book, Airbnb's really been trying to push people to do Instant Book. And this is where, people can just instantly book at your place. First, how it's normally been, where someone had to ask permission or like, I would like these
dates. It's an inquiry. Yeah.
Can I book these? And then you can have a back and forth. So we actually turned on Instant Book a while ago.
And the reason was because at that time they had changed it so that if there was a problem, like someone Instabooks and they're like, we have 12 people. And you're like, no. You could cancel without a penalty.
Right. And you can do that 3 times per 12 months.
Oh, really? Right. I didn't realize that.
Whenever you want.
Okay. So what was interesting about the email is they said you can choose to only turn on Instant Book for guests recommended by other hosts, meaning they have a review.
Right.
So that's actually, I thought that was interesting. That stuck out to me because that was something that a lot of people were afraid of. Like, I can't just let people Instant Book because they have no reviews, no verification. So now they're kind of like giving you the option.
Right. So that's what's happened. So they tried to push Instant Book, and we were one of the ones that said, okay, it's no problem. Now they heard from people who were like, these things need to change.
Right.
And I guess this is one of those things.
A verification.
Where
or whatever.
I'll do Instant Book, but the person needs to have verification and a photo and someone, and they had to have stayed someplace else.
It can't just be the blank icon, nothing, like, you're just like, what, is this a real person, you know? So I thought that was interesting.
I mean, I think the other thing for us, again, the way we realize that we basically accept everyone that asks to come.
We're not in an urban area.
Right.
So that is really different.
I mean, again, I think we'll always have these conversations between people that have like an apartment in a city where there's just 1,000 people waiting outside wanting to rent your place. So you can have all the barriers that you want and you'll still always be booked. Versus people like us where, you know, we have to be very welcoming, and we're getting a different kind of people too.
Very family oriented.
Yeah. So basically, everyone that wants to stay in our place is like a family or a couple, and they're just here to go
and their
hiking.
dog.
Yeah, and so we've never said no to anyone.
We've never said no to anyone. Although we have said no to people who were inquiring about having a wedding at our house. We were like, no.
That is true.
But that's the only time, really.
Right. I mean, as long as people have read our rules and they're asking to stay within its parameters that you set.
Exactly.
You know, under 6 people, blah, blah. So.
Although we have made exceptions for people who have more than 6 people.
Yep, we have.
We said as long as they're okay with not sleeping in a bed, basically.
Yeah. So anyway, I don't know. We're glad, and we get probably now half of our rental is done through Instant Book.
Yeah.
Where we don't have a conversation right away with the person. The person will book. They say why they're coming. Then I get into a conversation
and
just to
flesh it out a little bit. Yeah. How many people? What are you doing?
Figure out who's coming.
Yeah, you're very good at that.
So that's cool with us.
Yeah. So this weekend is a little bit crazy. I want to talk about just like the farmhouse. So we have people staying there now. And usually what happens on the weekend is someone checks in Friday night and then checks out Sunday night. And that's cool. But now we had someone check in yesterday.
On Thursday.
And they're checking out Saturday morning. And then we have a little buffer of time, and then people are checking in Sunday at some point in the afternoon. Now, the crux to that plan is that I decided that it was a good idea to participate in my friend who is putting on this like whole wedding show. It's like a bridal showcase to promote the farmhouse. And it's 2 days of me standing at a booth and handing out postcards and talking to people and promoting the farmhouse. So that makes it hard to flip the farmhouse.
Right. So basically we figured out, so it's good. Ryan's going to be there.
Yeah.
Hopefully she'll put ourselves in front of people wanting to do weddings, and they'll rent our place. Yeah. So this will be the first time that one of us will clean the house alone, and that'll be me.
Yeah.
And we'll see what that's like, how long it takes me to clean a 3-bedroom house by myself.
The great thing is that you'll go in, tomorrow afternoon and have as much time as you need. It's not like someone's coming at 3, which is like, oof, thank God.
So
that's interesting.
So it's good.
Yeah, and I'm not looking forward to standing in a room for 2 days straight, but I am interested in seeing, like, can we promote ourselves as a place not to have a wedding, but for family and friends and brides and grooms.
And again, that's the thing about, living in a small town is that this is happening in our little small town.
Yeah.
The whole point is to participate in the community and help try and build something that happens. Like, so, we live in it's like a farming community. And they have manufacturing too, but all the manufacturing's almost gone. Yeah. It's like 5% now of anyone that's hired is in manufacturing. Farming's still a big deal, but now it's all about farms have just gotten bigger and bigger.
It's agri-farms.
Yeah, so even farming is different. And so actually in the paper this month or this week, they said that the taxes on hotels and cabins, and it's mainly cabins, was almost $800,000 for 2015. Yeah, which is a lot of money for our little tiny 5,000 person town, 25,000 person county. Yeah, I mean that's real cash.
It's a lot of money,
and so that's why something like this event's important to see. Bring more weddings, bring more people here to its vacation,
Yeah, so that's something we're trying to promote and we're trying to support. And it's tough because 2 days out of the weekend is like, that's like a sacrifice, But I'm like, okay, I'm just going to do it. Like, this is happening and, I'll probably give an update next week about how it was.
Cool. And so the people checking in on Sunday, they're staying for 5 nights, and we really love it. It doesn't happen as much as we would like, but it's cool. Someone is like, I want to stay during the whole week. That's great. And not on a weekend. And our weekdays are the hardest to book, so we're always grateful when guys like this come.
It's really exciting. And what's great about a 5-day stay is you don't have to clean the house every 2 days. Right. You're like, great. I think one of our first bookings last year was 9 nights. And we were like, this is awesome. We just like, see you later. Yeah. Like, it was so nice. You didn't have to touch the house till the end.
So it's good.
Yeah, that's good.
And we're going out of town for a month coming up soon. Yeah. And so we have a buddy who takes over and rents our place while we're gone. Or we handle all the communication and the reservations. I mean, come on, it's just
the internet.
I do it on my iPhone. Yeah. Like, we can be anywhere and I'm doing it. And then I just tell him, all right, someone's coming Tuesday, Friday. Right. And then him and his girlfriend then clean the place. Yeah, and so we worked out a payment deal with him. Yep. We pay him 20%
of the booking because he is, he's not just cleaning, but he's on call. If, obviously we're on call, but if we're like, you got to go over there and fix X, Y, and Z, he's like, great.
Yeah, I mean, I guess we could have just done it where we just hire like a local cleaner who we just pay by the hour. Yeah. Or, we'll pay you X amount to clean the house these times. But it's like you said, we feel more comfortable paying someone more so we have like
on call
us. Yeah. I want
he's
someone
basically
that
us.
Represents us.
Yeah. Like if there's a doorknob that breaks, he's like, okay, I'll go fix it, or whatever. So that's good.
And another thing we just wanted to quickly talk about. So we've talked a lot about like doing work on the inside of the house and making it real nice. Yeah. And working on details. Something has happened recently where we started thinking more of the outside, too. Yeah. We have at this farmhouse, there's like 2 acres of land.
Yeah, it's quite a bit of land.
And on one side of the property is a stream. Yeah. Although the stream's kind of a little bit off the property. Right. So it's not so easy to get to. You've got to have to walk through some woods to get in there. Yeah. But 2 people recently have told us, we love that stream. Yeah. Us and our kids like trump through the woods, and there's like a pool, a spring.
Like, there's kind of, I mean, you can't really swim in the pool, but you can kind of jump in. It's probably freezing.
It's like a big hot tub size, And so we're thinking like, wow, we could kind of, it's clear a better path.
Right.
And actually make that be kind of like a showpiece.
A thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so what we've been thinking about, we were like, you know, it'd be really cool. There are a lot of rentals that are like, you got to have a hot tub, you got to have a pool, whatever. You got to be right on the river to go swimming. And we're like, wouldn't it be cool if we, like the way the stream happens near our property is there's the main stream with the little pool. But then there's this offshoot that goes right, you know, into our property basically. And we're like, well, what if we could kind of maneuver it so more water goes there? Because there's like a bunch of trees that have fallen that haven't allowed and like you said, clearing a path and stuff. We're like, that would be so cool. Because we had been talking about doing a pool. God, pools are so expensive.
Right.
I mean, they're crazy expensive.
Like the cheapest pool, a low rent pool would be like $15,000.
Yeah,
and then easy go up to $50,000. It's just
I'm like, oh, and the maintenance. I'm like, oh, so let's just like figure out this stream.
But I guess what I'm trying to get to was, you know, so inside we feel all the little tiny details add up to like people can tell. They might not always be able to put their finger on why they love the place, but it's all right there. And then I'm thinking the outside's the same way. Like when we were redoing that place and it was taking a long time because of money and just construction takes time, we were working on like gardens. And we've done a really nice job, I think.
Well, and the great thing is like when you're working on a house for 3 years and you start planting the first year, by the third year, I mean, you've got these major perennial gardens.
Sure.
I mean, the lucky thing for us is we had a friend who's like the master gardener, and she's like, was cutting down her perennials. Like, I got to clear this stuff out. And we took like hundreds of plants and we just like put them everywhere.
It was probably, you know, several $1,000s worth of plants. Free plants.
Yeah, it was amazing.
But yeah, I mean, so I think that if you run a rental and you have an outside, I mean, that's a really big thing to think about. And I guess, you know, we wanted nice gardens just because it's the nice thing to do. But now we're hearing that people are actually spending time outside. Yeah. And you were saying, it's just earlier, it's true. Like us in our home, we're just busy. Like, it's our living space.
Right. Like, it's our workspace,
I'm not here to pamper it's myself. Like, I'm not. Yeah. It's just like, it can be a messy. I don't care. But yeah, when people come somewhere, it's a different experience. They aren't at home. Right. They're there to just explore. And so I forget about that. And so, we're going to put some work into kind of our land now. Yeah.
Now, the interesting part about it is last year, right before we started renting, we had this guy who lives down the street who's like an excavator. You know, he's just kind of a jack of all trades.
He's just a guy that has like a bunch of big machines.
And he knows how to do stuff, right? So these two sections of our yard, two actually huge sections of our yard, were just overrun by bramble and rocks and like junky trees. And I just didn't even notice them. And Jay was like, I want to clear those out. I want to clear out this big section over here. It's kind of a little hill. I want to put a hammock up there and just have grass up to the fencing. There's fencing with the farm next door. And then over to the right was the stream. And there's this huge section that was just all like bramble and like poison ivy and rocks. And so this guy who lives down the street, he cleared all that off, cleared all the other section. They laid down grass. And like those are things, and it costs like in the end it was like $2,500. Basically, that's really not that much for the amount of work they did. I was, you know, like a little shocked at that. I was like, oh my god, so much money. But that made way for people to be able to just walk right up to the stream. Yep. You know, and go up. When you go up to the hammock, you look down upon the house. And it's really cool because you see the house and you see there's like a cattle farm next door. Cattle farm. There's like 10 cattle. And so you kind of see all that together and it's really cool. And it's just something that like you had a vision for and were willing to pay for. And I think for me, because I'm super frugal, I'm like, well, who cares? We have a yard. Here it is. But then, like, to be able to just expand on that and be willing to spend the money and the time and have it, like, double our yard, is a big deal, I think. No, being willing to do that.
I was a big, I mean, I think you thought I was crazy when I hired this guy.
Absolutely crazy. I was like, I can't even...
It's big enough, but it's really made it nice. There's an area where there's 2 nice trees with like a hammock. And, this other spot that's kind of a little hidden area with like a picnic table.
Picnic table, that's
so
right.
So you can sit there and look into the forest.
Right. It is really cool.
So anyway, I guess our main point is we're realizing that it's good to spend as much time on the details inside of a house as it is outside. And, and also these are the things, like, if you ever want to sell your house, those are the things that people look for,
right.
Are there... It's mature gardens, or is it just radial grass?
Right.
So all those things are important.
Well, you're hoping it brings up the value. I mean, honestly, anything you're doing that you're putting money into to make it a rental is going to bring up the value no matter what. So that's what, I mean, I think during any renovation, as we've seen on that show, Grand Designs, where they're like, we might just have to sell this. Like, we don't even know if we can afford to keep it, you know? And I think that we've always thought that, like, if there's ever a problem, you're like, you could totally sell this as, like, a really nice property if you ever had to,
One thing I do want to mention, one thing I've been doing just the past 4 months or so, is that when someone checks in, we try and meet them and say hi, all that.
Yeah.
I always send them a message the very next day.
Yes.
So it's next morning, 9, 10 o'clock. I send them a message through Airbnb just saying, like, just checking in, making sure that you found everything, let us know. And it's something that, when we stayed in Airbnbs, we've probably stayed in 10 of them.
Yeah.
We've never had anyone contact us to ask if everything's okay.
Right.
And we always get a message back. Like, today the person was like, everything's great.
Yeah.
And they even... And very often, like, today, a woman, like, told us everything
they did.
We did this, we did that.
Yeah,
and this
really
was
cute.
when she said, and our kids or their grandkids have been exploring the stream, and that's what brought this whole conversation.
Yeah. It is.
So I find those little details are helpful.
Yeah, it's really helpful, too. And, I mean, on the other end of the spectrum, besides people having a good time, Airbnb does encourage people to say what, in quotes, needed improving or whatever. And a couple renters back, they were like, the tub's draining really slow. And you're like, it's so good that they told us, because, like, I'm not offended. I'm not going to charge them. Right. I just need to know that so I can fix it. And I think you wrote to her and you were like, thank you for telling us we didn't know. Because how would we know? I don't take a shower over there, right? So it's always good to hear.
Although we are now going to make sure we run the water every time.
Every time, I know. What did you call it? The 1 minute test?
Yeah, just like run the water for
a minute,
and just see if it's looks
draining,
clogged up.
Exactly.
And it's we're saying all these things, and we really won't know if everything we're doing pays off for us until we start getting repeat bookings.
I would love to see repeat bookings.
I mean, we're really playing the long game here, us being nice to people. I mean, it's good to be nice to people, period. But like really going out of our way.
Yeah.
I mean, this is like the hospitality business.
Right, right.
So we're really going out of our way, and the way it pays off for us. I mean, number one, it makes us feel good. We would probably do it anyway just because why not,
Yeah.
But will it really pay off if we start getting people who come back? Like families come back every summertime,
right? Exactly.
Or in the fall,
yeah.
That's what we wish. So we're in our second year now, and we'll see if we get any of those people coming back.
Exactly. And there's one woman who came in like February and then booked for May. So you're like, okay, that's a really good sign. She booked in the same year, so that's awesome.
Okay, so our river house, the one that we're redoing. Like we said, last week, it's kind of on hold right now.
It's on hold, yeah.
Because we're about to leave in a week. So we don't want to get any work started because we want to be here if anyone is working on the house.
Right.
We also are leaving to go on a job.
Yes.
So we can make money.
To spend money.
To put money in. And then when we come back, I've got the lists are just crystallizing of all the things I want to do. And I'm hoping all the guys we need to help us are clearing their books. I'm trying to tell them when we're coming back, just so they're ready to work.
Like, just come over.
We have some big things we want to do over there. So
a driveway.
Okay, and then just last, I just wanted to talk about our numbers. We always, the way we do it is like, how many nights in 2016 do we have booked?
The whole year. That means
right.
The past 3 months and the future.
So there's 365 nights in 2016. How many do we have booked or have we had booked? So right now we're at 121.
Ooh.
We added another 2 nights this week.
That's not enough.
Yep. So our goal is to get to 200.
Yeah.
Because really, if you average about $200 a night, I mean, that's $40,000.
Yeah.
So that's very good for us.
It's very good.
We're happy.
Yep.
I mean, that's beyond my wildest dreams when we first thought about.
Whoa.
Were you thinking, because we were talking about, like, okay, if we can make $20,000 a year.
Trust me, I was, after spending 3 years renovating that farmhouse, I was like, we better make more than 20. Trust me.
Right.
That was like the minimum.
That was the number that we needed to make to have that place work.
Right.
And so the fact that we're hitting much higher
double
number
that,
okay, and then the last thing, of course, is what did the renters leave behind?
Do you remember what the renters left? I remember one thing that they left.
Go.
Someone left like a almost full carton of eggs, which is great because I've been eating scrambled eggs for breakfast every day for like several months.
And then, of course, a common thing is milk, so like a half jug of milk. I'm always into the half jug of milk.
Yeah, Jason's into the milk.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't have to buy milk and eggs.
So, I mean, like our other podcast we do is called Scavenger Life.
So we're scavengers.
Where we go out and we like go to thrift shops and auctions and estate sales, and we find things to sell online, and we live in this culture of just abundance. It's all out there,
right?
And that's how we're paying for all these houses. So I love anything that's free. So so that was it this week.
Yeah, that was nice. Okay, so you can call our voicemail line if you want to leave a question or a comment. The phone number is 540-407-8486. And we have a call.
Hey guys, this is Kevin calling again. Thanks a lot for taking my call last week. I really appreciate it. I got another question I was hoping you guys might be able to answer. I just started on Airbnb. I'm getting a lot of bookings, which I like a lot. But I noticed one thing is I'm getting a lot of bookings that are third-party bookings. That is, people booking on behalf of someone else, either, their kid or their friend or something like that, or their parent or something like that. I'm just wondering what your policy is on taking third-party bookings. Do you accept them, or do you usually ask the person to have the other person make their own account? I'm not 100% sure what Airbnb's official policy is on third-party bookings either, so would appreciate hearing your thoughts on that. Love the show. Thanks.
Hi, Kevin. Nice to hear from you again. I see from your caller ID, which I won't disclose, you are in an urban area, so you are going to get a lot of bookings.
Yeah, I mean, so far we've never had that issue where someone has rented and said, other people are going to come, that's not me.
There was one time, and this is like not even like that really, there was a wedding group, and the woman was like, we're all coming to town, but we got moved to be in the bridal party, and we have to go stay at the venue with the bride or whatever.
Can my friends
stay here, but we'll come meet you, and we'll take full responsibility. And we're like, that's cool, you know.
So, but I don't know how that works. If someone, if there's a history on Airbnb where you guys are messaging back and forth and the person's like, I'm not going to be there, but I take full responsibility. I mean, I don't know. Doesn't that cover you? Like, and then their kid or their cousin or whoever come, and if they rip the place up, you
ding their...
I mean, that person is the one taking responsibility.
I want to say the opposite and say that you being in an urban area should absolutely not take bookings from other people.
Now, is that different if that happened to us in a rural area? Like, would you accept that?
feel like I would be like, your friend needs to have an Airbnb verification. Like, I need to have, like, the weird. Okay, a parent and a child is different. I'm guessing the person is under 25. Do you have to be 25 to use Airbnb?
Well, you can. There's a filter where you can say no one under 25.
I mean, the good thing is you have control.
Yeah.
And you can say no to any of these people. If someone's like, I'm just doing this for my friend, you can just say, your friend needs to get an Airbnb profile. Yeah. I have 20 other people that want to rent that night.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I would love to hear from other people who have these kind of problems, maybe if it is only in urban areas. Right. Like, does this happen a lot? Yeah, because like you said, I feel like if people are just busting down the door to stay, like it stays booked no matter what. I feel like you can say no to anyone
just say no.
that gives you any weirdness.
Any hesitation.
Like, nope.
Anytime especially because, obviously this is your home or your apartment or whatever, in any case, an Airbnb, but especially because it sounds like you're sharing the space with them. You really want to make sure you have good people at your house, in your space.
It's like I always say about everything. It's just like, who's hungrier?
Hungrier?
Like, are you hungry to have that room booked and you have extra nights and you're trying to fill them up? Or are you always booked and you can pick and choose and that person's super hungry to stay in at your place because it's a good deal? And if it is, then you do exactly what Orion just said. Like, your brother can stay here, but he's got to be the one to book.
Yeah, exactly. So I think it's up to you, because I know you're in a good urban area that has a lot of travelers and a lot of workers and stuff like that. So I think you're going to have, the pick of the litter, really. And just, I think also because I'm sure because you're starting out, and this is how, we're still starting out too, but I've heard this from other hosts where they're like, when I was starting out, I just let people do whatever because I was desperate for bookings. I think that because you're in a desirable area that you can just stay strong and just be like, nope, I'm just going to get the people I want. So thanks for calling. Call us again. Okay, so that's it for today. You can check out the blog at shampooandbooze.com for any links we discuss and to join the conversation. You can leave a question or a comment on something you heard or something you know. The phone number again is 540-407-8486. We post an episode every Sunday night or Monday morning, depending on our schedule. You can subscribe to us through iTunes or YouTube, so you'll always get the latest episode. And if you're interested, you can listen to our other podcasts that we mentioned before, where we talk about how we sell old shoes that we scavenge on the internet to fund our Airbnb house renovations. And that is at scavengerlife.com. Okay, bye.
See ya.